Hey everybody, welcome back. This room, as I always say, is a magic room. And today I feel like we are going to experience new magic together. I only very transparently know this woman a little bit because she's doing something in the world of podcasts that is just so beautiful. She's bringing together a lot of different podcasts and having like this convention, a virtual convention online. And you can see I really don't know what it is, but she was kind enough to say that I could have one of my shows on the weekend that they're doing it. And I just liked her from the moment I sort of encountered her. It wasn't because I saw her, because I didn't see her before. There's just something about her that is very, very likable. And I don't know if you feel that with people too, but sometimes you walk into a room and you just feel somebody and you immediately just feel drawn to them and you want to know more about them. And sometimes you walk into the same room and you don't feel that at all. And I've had all those things happen in this room here. But I have to say, there's a beauty to this room for me. And when I'm in this room, I have only one agenda, and that is to love and accept people, to listen to them and hear them, and to acknowledge and validate them for what they're saying. And what I find is when that happens, that people, over the course of the time, let go of everything they're not and just allow who they are to emerge. And there's something so beautiful in that. And I've watched them do that for me too, because I'm in the room here too, and I have to do the same thing. Because I wasn't always a person that just listened to people and loved and accepted people. I was taught how to walk into a perfect room and find 10 things that were wrong with it in 30 seconds. Because my teacher wanted me to be able to see how you can't fix something until you know what's wrong with it. It pretty much messed up my life for a lot of years because I couldn't see the beauty in things. I only saw the places that need to be changed. But we're not here to learn about me right now. We're here to learn about this lovely woman that I have in the room. Before I go there, I have to mention this show is being sponsored by the Mosaic. I'm really happy the book I wrote is sponsoring the show, because if we were in different situations, if COVID wasn't here, I would be doing this by traveling around the world, doing what Mo in my book did, of going around talking to people, all sorts of people. And my goal was, when I finished the book told me, do what he did, go and speak to the people no one speaks to and listen to the people no one listens to. And originally I thought that was the downtrodden and the homeless and the people that were poor and nobody listened to them. Until I was sitting here in my chair doing my work and my wife came into the room and said something to me and I said, yeah, honey, that's a great idea. And she said, hold it, look at me a minute. You didn't hear a word I said, did you? And I said, darn, you're right. No, I didn't. I am so sorry. Let me close my computer. Tell me what you were saying. And we don't listen to each other is what I see. I'm going to at least speak for myself. There's so many places where I don't listen to people, don't listen to each other. And I see it happening in our government. I see it happening in our education system. I see it happening in medicine. I see it happening, anywhere we look, in our families, in our schools. It's time to start a revolution of listening. And that's really what I want to start through this process of what I'm doing. Okay, I'm starting to bore myself with my own conversation. Sponsor, I hope you're happy. I hope you'll be happy that people will be interested enough in the Mosaic to pick it up on Amazon. I'm interested that you do that because I just want to know how it changes your perspective on the way you see life. I would love to hear from you if you get it, so thank you. And now, finally, we get to what this room is all about right now. Tina Marie Trimpert, welcome to the conversation. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful as usual. Daniel, thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited about that book, by the way, and very grateful to be here.
Thank you so much. You answered me that same way, and I said, let's see if we can go into that in the green room. So with your permission, I would like to go into that a little bit.
I would love to.
So what I found through these hundreds and hundreds of conversations that I've had is, how are you has become a salutation, not a question of concern, or not a question where we really want to know. And most of the time we say, how are you? And, you are beautiful. You answer fantastic, fabulous. Most people say fine, good, great, whatever. And they ask, how are you? And I say, fine, good, great. And we carry on. But we really don't have any idea how we are. And what I want to just do is rewind it a little bit, slow it down. And I want to ask you, here we are, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. We're in the middle of a race protest where people of color are standing up and saying, hey, something, we're people too, and what we say matters, and who we are matters, and we want you to notice us and see us, and we don't want to be treated the way you've been treating us. Women are standing up and saying, what are you kidding? We're not going to stand for this anymore. We are not just objects for you to touch and have affection with and discard. We're people, and we're capable of anything a man is able to do, we can do better. And we want to be noticed, and we want to be seen. We're in the middle of watching some of our institutions and fabulous organizations that we have built crumble around us because of the decay within it. If President Trump has done what he said he's done, he certainly has swayed up the swamp. And we are seeing the decay of everything that we used to believe in without hesitation, now giving us wonder to whether we can believe in it or not. So Tina, do you go by Tina or Tina Marie? How would you like?
Tina is totally fine.
Okay, so Tina, how are you in the context of what I'm saying? I know that in yourself you're fantastic and good, but how are you amidst this world that is you're living in right now?
Oh, well, that is such a very deep question, but I can only begin to say that all of those things that you mentioned are really painful for most people, especially those of us that are serious empaths and we
Yeah.
feel the pain of everybody around us, and it does hurt, but it also begins with healing yourself from the inside so that you can shine your light outward and help attempt to fix the world that we're living in and do what you're doing, having conversations with people, and it comes from a good place in your soul. You're genuine and you're humble, and it shines through you. And so when you give that love to the rest of the world, you can only hope that it touches enough people that you can spread that out. And that's basically why I'm fantastic all the time, because I woke up alive today. And I just want to be thankful, though the world is, like you said, many things are crumbling apart, we can still love one another and be that light to help other people see that even though we're dealing with all of these horrible things, we can still love ourselves and love each other, or we can at least try to accept and appreciate and understand other people.
What a beautiful way to live, first of all. And thank you for being present and living that way. And I want to ask the question that I hear some people in the audience, listening audience, perhaps wanting to ask. How do you do that? Because I hear so many people who want to love themselves but are critical to themselves, who want to be positive amidst this world but don't want to negate the situation. And they don't want to live a Pollyannish life, but they don't want to be caught. And I just spoke to someone before you, an hour before you. And I said, how are you doing? She said, I just heard the news and it's going to take me an hour or 2 hours to just cleanse myself from just listening to the news.
Yeah.
And this was in another continent, so how do you do that?
How do I do that? This is my short answer for a very long question.
Yes.
First of all, I do stay away from the news, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me not watching the news. It's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't notice these things. I realized the amount of negativity was just spreading by me even watching it and hurting my spirit and my soul, where I can't help other people because it would sadden me so much and I would be in tears. So I realized I need to stay away from that, just like a lot of people believe they need to stay away from social media. And it took also on another, to segue off of that, a lot of hurt and a lot of healing from my personal traumas to get to where I am today, where I can forgive somebody in 5 minutes. And that might make me sound naive, but I'm okay with that because I'm okay with myself. And
Yeah.
I do meditate a lot of grounding, and I just try to live my own life in the moment, because if we do love ourselves first, we can love other people, and we don't have to focus on the negativity. You just have to focus on what you're doing right and not the things that you're doing wrong. And if you've done wrong in the past, you have to learn how to forgive yourself. If you've been hurt in the past or have suffered severe traumas, you have to learn to let those things go and forgive those people, because you don't even understand where they may have been in their lives, and it could be very serious, like the situations that I was in with my trauma. And I can honestly say I have healed from it, and I didn't require medication. It just required learning to love myself.
Beautiful. You've referenced it, so I want to just open it up. You can close it right back up. Because of how positive you are, it would be easy for people to just gloss over the trauma that you went through. But you've mentioned it, and even as you mention it, I hear your voice change a little bit because I hear how real it is.
Yeah.
Can you share any part of that trauma so that people can see that you're not just somebody who Pollyanna's over life?
I have never spoken about this on any show or to anybody that wasn't a close friend or family member. I do feel safe telling you some parts of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
By the way, thank you.
yeah, thank you. I've just been waiting for the right place to do it. So I feel like I can. When I was 20 years old, I was kidnapped
Wow.
uh, and held for 2.5 months by these people. And I was able to escape the situation. This person is now in prison again. And that really helped. It's not loving to want that for anybody, but after obviously what me and so many others dealt with these people, it gave me a sense of closure. Even though in my heart I have forgiven this person, it's also important that he's not around to hurt other people,
Yeah.
because he kept doing it and the police didn't believe the story. It turns out that the detective was a cousin of his.
Oh,
So,
wow. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
this man had bleeding women with crying blood all over his body for tattoos. And yet they didn't believe the girl that was there distraught. My mom had traveled from Africa, where they were living, all the way back to the States. They knew something was wrong. And they took my phone, they took everything. And it really is something that I didn't feel comfortable talking about because of the business that I do. And I know that it could affect me professionally, but also it's really important for other survivors to know that they can eventually get to the place where they can tell their story and forgive themselves and forgive the people that hurt them. It is still, when I talk about it, it's hard,
Of course.
but I don't think about it every day.
Yeah.
And I am a happy person. I'm not in a depressed mode. I've never have been. Even during those times, I knew that I was going to get out of it and overcome it. And I did. And it took time, but I did. I was able to. And I've done a lot of stuff since. And
Yeah.
there's more to it. There's, there's so much more to it. But that's kind of the gist of where my trauma does come from.
First of all, thank you for trusting me enough to open up and share that. You have no idea how much that touches me and means to me. And I know for me that knowing a little bit about where you've come from and who I see in front of me now only makes me love and respect you 1,000 times more for being able to walk through that and be who you are today. Because it'd be
Thank you.
very easy for someone to look at you and say, oh, here's a beautiful woman who looks like she's successful in life. And, well, of course she's happy and fantastic all the time. But we don't know what people have gone through. And we don't know the stories behind the stories behind the stories. Right?
Yeah. Yes, that was harder than I thought it would be. Just saying that, just, but also it didn't feel wrong to do, because in this day and age, it's really important for people to know that they're not alone, and that
Yeah.
I want to be a light for those people, even the ones that don't know me. I just want to tell everybody basically, like, hey, I love you guys. Like, here's something inspirational for you to look at. Here's some words. I hope you read them because they might make you feel better. Let's just like love each other. Everybody give each other a hug, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like that before the situation, and I'm still like that now. And I do take pride in that, because
Yeah.
it was a journey.
Yeah. We can only imagine. And I would like to ask the listeners, whenever you're listening to this, to just take a moment and put it on pause, and to just send Tina a big ball of love, and to just hold her in your prayers right now. Because obviously she's doing okay, but walking through it and revisiting it was not comfortable for her. You can feel it in just the way she worked her way through the story, and yet she shared it with us. And I just want to make sure that people honor her and hold her in the light and allow her to feel free, because who she is, like, to me, we're made up of pieces, and those pieces create a mosaic. And when they're pieces of us that we can't talk about or don't want to talk about, our mosaic is missing a certain beauty to it that is sort of the hard parts of our life. And the hard parts make the beautiful parts even more beautiful. It's like the light makes the dark more beautiful, and the dark makes the light more beautiful. It's so I would invite you, whenever you feel to share that story and more of that story, because I think it makes you even more beautiful and more powerful and more less than you are right now.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Other people that are happy. When I can see a shining light from someone else. I used to say when I was a lot younger, I wish that we were all just glowing orbs of light, so that we didn't have to judge each other from the way that we looked or how we walked or how we outwardly were perceived. And like, there's a stigma attached to looking this way or that way,
Sure.
and speaking in this way or that way, or not being as what people call intelligent as somebody else, because you really, like you said, we don't know everybody's story behind their story.
No.
So if we were just glowing orbs of energy, that would just take that all away. But what makes me happy is that I'm able to connect with these people. I mean, we're here talking for a reason. It just happens. It's the law of attraction, which I've always really believed in. And like attracts like, and I'm able to keep the circle of people around me, for the most part, positive people. And there has been times, especially with what you were saying earlier about women are going through situations right now. We have been for since the dawn of time,
Oh
but
yeah, terrible.
yeah, I've been dealing with some backlash with that in certain situations within the podcasting realm, but that's besides the point. My daughter makes me happy. She is a golden orb of energy and light and love. My husband makes me happy. My family, just as a whole, that makes me happy. Speaking with people like you makes me happy. Finding like-minded people makes me happy. Giving people platforms to be able to think about the world and the world that we live in, and pick it apart and philosophize upon it, and not hate each other for it after that makes me happy, because
Yeah.
everybody's welcome and entitled to their own opinions on everything, and it will not make me just like anybody more. That I don't have that in my heart. I can't hate somebody. It's just not in my coding, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the listener, Can you hear how authentic that is when Tina speaks that? And can you hear how easy it would be for her to hate people because of the situations that she's only given us a little peek into? And I'm sure there's so much more in there. But can you understand how easy it would be for her to hate people and be upset with people and not forgive people? And can you see how authentic it is when she says what she says? And how beautiful that is? For the listener, I want to bring you into the conversation. What are you still holding on to that has happened to you that you haven't forgiven yourself or forgiven others for? That is causing only your own pain and suffering? Take a look at it. Let me circle back a little because you said a couple things, and I'm not saying it in any way to put you on the spot. I just want to understand how you believe.
Okay.
Because you started out by saying, I have this happiness inside of me and this joy inside of me. And when I asked you what makes you happy, you spoke about all these things outside of you, which is understandable. Because all those things, why, how could your daughter not make you happy? How could your husband not make you happy? How could, what you're doing not make you happy? But do you believe that's what makes you happy? Or do you believe there's a place, just a piece inside of you that makes you happy? And all those things then contribute to the happiness that you have because you're happy in general?
That is a very good question. And yes, you hit the nail on the head. I probably should have started with the inner parts of myself that make me happy.
Yeah, there's no should have. It's just, you know, and I ask it because I want the listener to ask themselves the same question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just spoke to a person last hour, and he was, I don't think happiness is inside of us, and that's okay. Like I'm willing to accept whatever anybody believes it is that. Um, and I always just want to make sure I understand what people believe when they say both things. So, um, do you feel like the world listens to each other?
Not enough. No, I don't. That's why I love this conversation, and I love being able to be one of the people that can hold it. That's something inside myself that I would say that makes me happy is I can keep a conversation going and actually listen to the other person and hear what they want to say too.
What allows you to do that in a world where people don't listen to each other as much as they might want to or might be able to?
Pure compassion and love, and really a genuine place in my heart where when I was a child, maybe didn't feel fully accepted or listened to, because as children that's generally never the case.
Yeah,
And a lot of children have the ability to realize these things, and they carry it on with them all the way through their adulthood, and it sticks with them into adulthood, and it really does affect them, and it can be quite traumatizing. But another part of that is keeping the positive parts of who you were as a child, that childlike imagination and zest for life, no matter what happens to you, is so important. That is something that really contributes to who I am and how I am now.
yeah. What would you say the biggest thing you've learned from listening is?
The biggest thing I've learned, excuse me, from listening is that everything that I have to say is just as important as the person speaking. And you can learn so much from the person that's speaking. When you don't hear what they're saying and you're not really listening, you're not opening up a place within your mind and spirit to take in different angles on different philosophies in life. And you're sort of a closed book at that point. You're not you're not being the sponge that you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
You're not giving yourself the opportunity to learn something. You're shutting the book on it. This is my opinion, and other people don't have a right to make their way in. And that's Not that silly. Don't do that.
Yeah. I have some years on you. That doesn't make me wiser. It just makes me older. But I've seen a few things. Um, and I remember years ago when I found my like-minded community, I couldn't believe it. I felt like I died and went to heaven. I couldn't believe there were other people crazy like me that I didn't have to explain myself to. They just got me. And it felt so good. It felt like just having a cool drink on a warm, hot day. You know, it just felt refreshing and relaxing and just peaceful and good. And I remember how happy I was to be a part of that group. But I think it's in Ecclesiastics that they say, and I'm not a, quoting Bible man, so I might get it wrong, but I think it's Ecclesiastics, where they said there's a time for every season and a time for everything under heaven. And those times pass. There's a time to be born and a time to die. And I'm wondering if the like-minded community time is passing its time, if it's time for that to sort of dissolve a little bit. Because what feels like it's happening in the world we live in is people are in silos of like-mindedness. And those silos are getting bigger and stronger. And the gaps between the silos are getting wider and deeper. You're feeling something?
Yeah, that gave me chills. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't think God created this universe with silos in it. And I understand why we did it, because I myself know how good it felt to be with that group of people. But I'm also starting to feel how bad it feels to be so separated, so isolated, so against, and people, those silos are just yelling at each other, fighting each other, saying that the way I see it is better than the way you see it, when actually the way we all see it is what we need to see in order to innovate and create what we need to create. We're all pieces in a mosaic coming together to create something beautiful, not just this one small segment of it. Because it gave you chills. Tell me what's going on for you when I say all that.
Just there's so much of a divide within everything, every facet of life right now, that it's just a constant battle of what you can't point at one side and say good and one side and say evil. Really, everything is neutral. It's just two sides and people have picked one and they just point at each other. And that is so negative and just not the way I think it should be, though it is, everything is happening for a reason. And I feel like a lot of the people that have chosen sides will eventually come to the light and realize, this is not where I want to be, because you start to realize, like you said, with when you were feeling so happy to be with that group of people, your like-minded people, that maybe it was almost like you were sheep in the same flock and it was still a side. You weren't an individual anymore, though you were happy. And that's basically what's happening now, is people are choosing sides and they're losing their individuality and they're following a leader of some sort in anything that's going
Yeah.
on right now. And they can't just be loving, just love people and just live your own life. That's all I really can say about that. It gave me chills because the way you worded it was really, really just spot on, like the two
Thank you.
silos. And it's crazy, really. It's sad. It makes me really sad to watch, but like I said, you can only be a seeker of your own happiness, and you can fulfill yourself by helping fulfill others and loving them even when they don't want that from you. There's nothing they can do to stop it.
I love that. So as you were speaking, I had a beautiful image came. It's the first time that it's ever come in this way. I would always say, the idea is to get off of the sides and come into the middle. But what I realized while you were speaking is it's hard to be centered when you're on a side. And it's as if going to a side makes us lose our center. And it doesn't matter which side we're on. I think the object is to come back into the center, into our center. And if we're on a side, we can't feel that center.
Right.
So you spoke of having a daughter and the happiness that your daughter brings you. Is this the world you always dreamed you'd hand over to her?
No, but it's the world that she was brought into. And so there we go again with this. I can give my love to her and teach her how to be happy. Hopefully she'll take on to it. I mean, she is really just an amazing child. Her name is Aurora, after the
Wow.
Aurora Borealis, and she is just golden. And so all I can do is my part as a mom to love her and give her what she needs and not overdo it do and not be threatened by other moms in Facebook groups saying that you're doing this wrong or that right. Like, just like be myself and allow her to be herself and allow her to make her own decisions and choices, but to be someone that she can look up to and learn from.
So I want you listeners to rewind and listen to what Tina just said, and to listen to how beautiful it is. Because in this world that we live in, sometimes we get so preoccupied with the calamities that are going on that we get caught in the calamities and think, how will I raise my children in this world? Well, we still have a household. We still have a relationship. We still have the people that we influence and touch, that we can still influence and touch any way we choose to touch it. And what I love about what Tina's presenting here today is that my child was born in this time, in this moment, for a reason. And I can love her and guide her in the way that I can love and guide her. She can choose to accept it or not accept it, but I can still love her. Even if she doesn't want the love at one point, I can still love her. And that love is really what I want her to take into the world that she lives in. Did I summarize that somewhat correctly?
Yes, that was perfectly on point.
Okay, good. Um, what are you most hopeful for?
I'm hopeful that we will be able to shift from where we are in the universe and the way that things are going to something better, whatever that means. And I know that no matter what anybody's going through in this world, and I know it's a lot, and I don't want anybody to take this in the wrong way, but you can get out of it and you can use your resources, no matter how big or small, and your platforms, no matter what they are, to be able to help make that shift happen after you learn to love yourself, which that's what I'm hopeful for, is that people can learn to love themselves even in the position that we're in now, so that we can become bigger than what we are as a whole, as a collective, and that we can spread across the universe the knowledge and light and love that we are all capable and all have within us, and to push the darkness to the side, because we've all dealt with dark times, and it doesn't matter if you think your darkness is smaller or bigger than someone else's. It still hurts you, and it's still important to you for your growth to have to acknowledge the pain or acknowledge the trauma or acknowledge the hurt or acknowledge your guilt and push it away, and just bring yourself, no matter how difficult it is, to that place of being centered so that you can help this shift happen.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't told your story fully, I just want to put in context even the little piece that Tina told us, that she hasn't told before to anybody that she hasn't known well. How much that also validates what she just said, and how important it is to know that what she's speaking from comes from a place where she experienced real darkness and real pain. And so it comes through someone who has walked through that and has seen a way to make her life what it is today. And how valuable your pain is and how valuable your suffering is. Even if you don't think it's valuable in that moment, it has value to it. I'd like to ask you about a statement you made, which is that we have to push away our darkness. And I just want to offer my perspective, just not to challenge or to fight, but just to understand better what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you said it in the sense of we have to acknowledge our pain also. And maybe that's semantical because maybe what I'm saying is acknowledging and seeing. But there's a place that I'm sitting in right now where I spent a lot of time overcoming my pain or putting my pain aside or pushing it aside so that I could be strong and positive and help people and be there for people and be this, whatever I am in the world that I think I am, or whatever I think I am, more than even what I am. And as I get older now, what I'm starting to do is I started to have some pain in my body. And I started to ask myself, why do I have this pain in my body? And it's fairly intense pain. And as I ask the question and listen to the answer, because I think everything in the world is talking to us, our bodies are talking to us, our jobs are talking to us, our earth is talking to us, our families are talking to us. What I heard my body say back to me is, you've pushed me aside for so long, I have to get your attention somehow. And my daughter showed me, I have a developmentally delayed daughter. And so when she speaks, people don't understand her. I happen to understand her more times than most. But when she speaks and she doesn't get understood, she yells. And when she yells and she doesn't get understood, she tantrums. And when she tantrums and doesn't get understood, she attacks. And when I realized that was her pattern, and I realized that she was talking telepathically to me, because that's how important it was that she speak to me and that I hear it, and I'm an empath like you. So I could feel it, and she's an empath like us. So that was more comfortable a way for her to communicate. And when I realized that, I realized, hold it, she's been speaking to me this whole time and I haven't heard her, and how frustrating that must be. And when I heard her finally, she's never tantrumed, yelled, or attacked again, because she knew there was a way for me to hear her. I believe that's what my body's doing right now. When it speaks and it doesn't get heard, it yells. When it yells and it doesn't get heard, it creates tantrums. When it tantrums and it doesn't get heard, it attacks. If we push away the darkness, it's a long question for a short question, a long story for a short question.
Yeah.
But this idea of pushing away the darkness, does the darkness then rebound back to us and come in pain in my body? And you got the idea, so I'm going to shut up finally.
Oh, it's okay. I'm sorry. I just think that maybe I perhaps didn't word it in the most perfect way. First, we have to acknowledge that the darkness is there.
Yeah.
We have to acknowledge it. We have to know it's there. We have to do what we have to do to heal ourselves from it. And then you have to push it away. But you don't forget it. You just don't let it overwhelm you and take over your mind, body, and spirit, so that it doesn't come back to haunt you, so that you're not having nightmares anymore, so that you're not feeling the pains that you've pushed away for so long because you didn't acknowledge them first.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a much better way to say that. And
No,
I love that you and your daughter.
You probably said it. I just wanted to clarify it, because I think when you said acknowledge, I just wanted to give that acknowledge the mirror that it needed. Because I think it's so for most people. I think it's so easy for most people to run away from their pain and to not listen to it. But clearly, in your situation, the little bit that you told us, if you wouldn't have pushed it away and escaped from it, you would still be in it, which would not be a good situation. Right? So at a certain point, you've got to make a move and break away from it. So is that what you're saying?
Yes, it is. And it takes time. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of living through the similar moments in your head and being what you call triggered by it often, for as long as it takes to heal from it. But it's possible to heal from it. That's the most important takeaway from that.
Yeah.
It's possible, and you just have to want to, and you have to move on with your life and not hold on to the pain from it, but acknowledge and realize that it's there. And then you can heal from it, and surround yourself with positive people as much as you can, or don't surround yourself with anyone at all, if that's what it takes. If you need to be alone and by yourself then do that if that's what it's going to take for you to heal. If you need to cut off family members, sometimes you have to do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. What would be one piece of advice that you could give from your own personal experience that you would say to somebody who has tried and tried and tried to cut that off, but it just seems to come back and catch them by the leg and pull them down the rabbit hole?
First of all, you're not alone again. There's so many people that feel that way, but opening yourself up to different types of spiritual, starting to meditate for one might be very helpful for you. I did that. That helped me a lot. Meditating, just even doing body scans to know where the pain is. And some people are very against meditation, but it's just the art of calming yourself down. Your mind and spirit and body are all connected, and it really, don't take medications for it unless it's something you really, really need. Don't give up trying to heal yourself from within. And if you know something's wrong, your intuition says, let go of this situation or that person, follow that instinct, because there's a reason that your mind and soul is telling you to not do something. And if you don't listen to it, you probably can't heal from whatever you're going through.
Yeah.
We know, all of us have that power within ourselves to know when something's wrong. It's just the stubbornness of most of the world that tells you to just keep going and keep pushing. You don't keep pushing yourself in situations. You don't keep pushing yourself to make something work that's simply not working for you. Because once again, you cannot love everyone else if you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
So you do what's right for you. That's my advice.
I love it. And in a world where we don't listen as often as we could, or in a world where people are talking more than they're listening, listeners, can you hear how important it is to listen? Not only to the things that happen outside and the other people that are speaking, but also to the messages your own being is giving to you. You know when something's not right. You can feel it. What do you do when you know something's not right and you have pressure from other people, or people think that you have to do it anyway, or people tell you to push through it? Or what do you do? Who do you listen to? There's no right or wrong here, but who do you listen to, and what's the result that you're getting? You can only know the answer to that by looking at the results that you're getting. Tina, tell me where you sit with trust now in your life.
I'm still too trusting, and it's okay. I'm fine with that. I learn from my mistakes as they come and as they go. I deal with them as they come and go as well. If something comes back negatively, and I never want that outcome if it does happen that way, but I understand that I can't control everybody else's impulses and everybody else's decisions they make. So all I can do is damage control to make sure that my voice is also heard in a situation that seems unfair, but do it in a way that doesn't hurt somebody else. So when it comes to trust, I do still struggle with, I'm not perfect. Nobody is, like, everybody knows that. But I do still really struggle with trust when it comes to very big things. I'm not scared of certain things anymore. I've let that go, really. But everybody has parts of them that are afraid of maybe being abandoned. And so my trust issues probably lay in that area of my spirit, and I'm aware of it and I'm acknowledging it now right here.
I
So
love it. I love it.
that means that I can eventually let that go, and I will do what I have to too, because we can't be perfect, but we can strive to be the best that we can be. And that's all that we can really do at this moment.
Would you give me permission to do a little exercise with you?
Sure.
And if at any point it feels uncomfortable, just tell me to stop, okay? In my book, The Mosaic, there's a character that's called the Trashman. From the time I was 4 years old, I wanted to be a trashman. I would sit on the back lawn and watch the trashman come and collect our garbage. And after 6 months of watching me sit there, this trashman finally came up to me. He came every Friday, so he came up to me and he said, "Hey, you want to come on the truck with us and ride around the block with us?" And I thought I died and went to heaven. But my mother was standing at the window, at the kitchen window, overlooking and yelling, "Danny, Danny, where are you going? Don't get on the truck," you know, because the trash man was the trash man. He wasn't from our neighborhood. And I said, "Mom, it's okay." And the trash man looked at her and said, "Ma'am, your son has been out here for 6 months watching us collect garbage. We promise you no harm will happen. We just want to invite him to experience the experience of being a trash man." And my mom said, "Okay, bring him back. You know, if you don't bring him back in a few minutes, I'm going to call the police, you know, and I just want to be careful." And they said, "We understand. Don't worry, ma'am. He'll be perfectly safe with us." And they had me climb onto the trash truck and ride with them. We got down and we picked up the garbage cans together and I helped them put it into the truck. And then they said to me, "Okay, here's the big job of the trash man. You got to press the button." And the button makes the machine grind up all the trash. And I said, "You're going to let me do that?" They said, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." And I pressed the button and it ground it up. And I was like, I want a chariot of, driving to heaven. When I came back, my mom said to me in the kitchen, "Danny, you've tested with a genius IQ. We can't let you decide you're going to be a trash man. I understand that you like it and I understand that it's fun for you and I understand, but you got way more to do in your life than be a trash man." What I understood now in my older years is I am a trash man. I just don't go on a truck around the streets picking up personal garbage. I hold my receptacle out here and I say to people, take everything that pains you, everything that causes you harm, everything that's injured you, everything that causes you suffering. And if you feel comfortable, just put it in this receptacle and I will hold it for you. And I would like you to do that right now for a couple of minutes, but you don't have to, we won't do it for too long here, but I want to introduce you to the trash man so that you can call him whenever you want and put him in that receptacle. And he doesn't have to put it in the truck and take it away. You can keep it in the can as long as you want so you feel safe that you're not going to lose something you don't want to lose. But I want you to know I'm always here for you, Tina, to hold the space for you, to put whatever troubles you, whatever pains you, whatever's caused you problems in the past. It no longer belongs in you now. Because I want you to experience the beauty of that moment when you no longer have to carry that around with you, where you can just put it in this can and just live free. It's not yours anymore.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. Listeners, the trash man is yours also. Take everything that troubles you and put it in that receptacle. What are you feeling right now, Tina, if I can ask?
An overwhelm of emotions, just to know that somebody is offering that space, because that's such a beautiful metaphor and a wonderful story. But I used to tell my friends too that I felt like an emotional dumping ground for people.
Yeah.
But I guess that was actually a positive thing looking back. It did take a lot of my energy from me dealing with people that didn't reciprocate, but it's not about that. It's about helping other people. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and what I used to do is I used to take it into me. What I learned very quickly is I didn't want that in me either. I just wanted to hold it in this can.
I love that.
And here's the promise I make you, Tina. We don't know each other. Before we walked in this room, we never talked to each other. We don't know each other at all. But here's what I promise you. I'm here for you until the end of time. And if there's ever anything you want to put in this can, you can put it in. My face may change, my body may change, my look may change, but I, as the Trashman, I'm always here for you.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. If you had a couple of minutes right now to share with the world the message that you feel you're bringing to the world, what would you say from you, not from a teacher's point of view, but just from that beautiful, big, empathetic, loving, beautiful heart? What would you say to people so that they could feel your heart, they could feel you, they could feel your presence?
My heart is not a part of my physical body. It's an extension of my soul and spirit. It's a collection of all of the pain that's transformed into light that I want to shine out and give to everybody, because there's enough of it for everyone to have, because we're all connected and it's in you too. And you're loved and you're accepted and you're appreciated, even when you don't feel like it, because there are people that are very much like you and you can get through anything. Just know that I'm also eternally a friend, and I'm also here for anybody. And even if you never get to meet me as well, I can feel your energy. So send it my way, and I will try to be like Daniel and be a receptacle and less like a dumping ground.
I love that. For those people who are listening, again, I just want to point out, how is it possible in this whole big world of 8 billion people, the two people who have never had a conversation, that have never met, who have never known each other existed before maybe a few weeks ago, can sit and share so intimately and so purposefully the same exact purpose? Is that just coincidence? Or is that what happens when you take the time to just listen to a stranger? When people are strangers, they appear strange, and the things they do are strange. But how long did it take for Tina and I to become friends? 45 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, maybe before she even walked in the room? When we open up ourselves to allow another person to come in and share with us who they are, they share with us things they never said publicly before, but more than that. What they share with us is the essence of who they are. And in that essence, we start to realize, hold it, you and I are the same. Like what we're doing is the same. And we are so much more alike than we are different. When we live in a world where people are strangers, we live in a strange world. But when we take the time to make people our friends, and we live in a world where it's full of friends, we live in a friendly world. And I don't know about you, but I think the world would love to have a friendly world to play in. I sure would. So I invite you, like I do at the end of every show, to reach out to someone you don't know, someone who is a total stranger, and take a few minutes and just ask them how they're doing. And just listen, go past their good, great, fantastic, beautiful. It'd be so easy to look at Tina and assume a certain life. But would you ever have gotten the life that actually is real, that we got in these moments of talking to her? Would you ever know the depth of her soul and the beauty of her pain and the beauty of her love without taking a few moments to talk with her and listen to her? Take those moments. They're the most special moments the world's given us. Tina, I want you to know how much love I feel for you and how much love I feel from you.
Thank you. Mirrored back to you.
Yes, I know that. And I thank you for taking this time in your space Is there anything you want to say before we go?
I just think that what you're doing is a very beautiful and unique thing. And I am just really thankful to have been on here to share that vulnerable part of me that I felt so long I had to keep away from everybody. And it it's still a process and it always will be. And I just want everybody just to know that they're loved. That's all. This whole conversation has just been shooting out as much love energy as I possibly could to anybody that watches or listens to this later. And I just really appreciate you. And I can't wait to read your book. And you're a great person. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a beautiful day. I know you will.
Thank you. It's my honor, and my honor knowing you. So thank you so much for being here and giving us your time. Listeners, thank you so much for being here. If you've enjoyed this, do what you do when you enjoy something. Share it with people you love. Share this episode with the people you love, and that way it grows, and the things we love with the people we love just only makes our love bigger. Until the next stranger comes into this room, I want to thank you for coming and showing up. Be kind to each other, love each other, send out rays of love like Tina was doing today to the world, and let those rays of love just explode. Thank you so much. And until next time, big love to you. Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.